right, we're good. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So, hello everyone, and welcome to the show. For tonight's podcast episode, we're actually going to be talking about the top 10 disappointing movies of 2008. And with me, I have Charlie with me again. Say hello to everyone.
Hello, everybody.
All right, so I know that you have some honorable mentions for the year in review for the positive ones that we've done. And
Yes.
I only have maybe one movie out of the positive, so that I have
Okay.
as an honorable mention. But I'm gonna let you do your list, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Alrighty. So I have 10 movies for my honorable mentions. These are all I thought were entertaining. Okay, so number 10, I had the X-Files, I Want to Believe. I had this on there. I'm a huge X-Files fan. I enjoyed this movie for what it was. The only problem is it came out the week after The Dark Knight came out. So again, the timing wasn't great, and then reviews weren't great for it, but I enjoyed it. It's just nice seeing Mulder and Scully back on the big screen because the last time they were on because this was years after the show ended, and this took place after the show, so I had that on there. I enjoyed the movie. It was entertaining. It's not your typical X-Files, but it's Mulder and Scully. I mean, what's wrong? Nothing's wrong with that.
All right. And
yeah, go ahead.
Let's see here. I actually have this is actually a Jason Statham film that I really enjoy a lot. And it's right up there with Transporter if you actually think about it, right? Because I love the Transporter movies. I love Jason Statham as an actor whenever it comes down to just action films because there's not that many action stars now unless you look at The Rock or Jason Statham. Pretty much all the ones that we grew up with, or at least I grew up with in the 90s, is pretty much getting older. Yeah. So whenever I'm thinking of a movie with Jason Statham, I'm always going to think of The Bank Job. And The Bank Job is a really great film, especially if you're into heist movies and things like that. The martial arts that Jason Statham uses in The Bank Job is really good. This is probably one of my favorite ones that I can actually revisit over and over again. Not saying that that I can't revisit The Transporter, because I actually do revisit the very first Transporter movie, but The Bank Job just has so many memorable things that actually happens. The way they actually go into the banks, the way they're planning the heist, the way that they're actually, you can actually almost believe that they can actually go into this bank, certain banks, and do the robberies and things like that. So that's what I have as my honorable mentions for for Jason Statham's The Bank Job. So what's your other honorable mention that you actually have for the positive side of things?
Okay, so I got 9 more. I'm just gonna list them and then we can discuss. Number 9, I have the movie, the kind of like the sex comedy movie Sex Drive, which with Seth Green as a kind of like a sarcastic Amish guy that's kind of like guilt tricking people into fixing their cars, even though he's not a big pivotal part of the movie. He's hilarious in it. This is one of those movies that my brother and I and his couple friends would watch because it was just one of our moods. Same with Fergie and Sarah Marshall. We just were in the mood to watch it and we watched it, and then it's just one of those movies. Number 8, I had the video game adaptation of Max Payne, starring from Mark Wahlberg and Mila Kunis. When I first watched it in theaters, I was hyped for it, and I was kind of disappointed. However, the more I watched it, the more I actually enjoyed it, and it's just entertaining. Did you have anything to say about that, or is that one of your least favorites?
I'm going to go into that later on.
Okay.
I'm going to save that for a little later.
Okay. And here's another one that you're gonna go on for a little way on. At number 7, I had The Love Guru as an honorable mention. I enjoyed this movie. We can go into it more when you're that. And then number 6, I had Get Smart with Steve Carell, Anne Hathaway. I enjoyed it. I mean, it was not what I expected. I mean, it's kind of cool seeing The Rock as a villain. The little plot twist there was kind of cool. I mean, I never grew up watching this show, and it's just something I was like, it felt like I saw it in the theaters, and I felt like it was entertaining. It did what it had to do. It entertained. Am I gonna keep rewatching it? No, but I enjoyed it. Number 5. Go ahead.
I want to touch on that just a minute. I didn't watch the TV series at all either. It was ahead of my time, so I didn't even watch the reruns. So I don't have anything to actually go off of it. But
No.
I definitely love the facial expressions that Steve Carell actually has on that movie. Not only that, but I also remember the joke in the interrogation room about Chuck Norris with a BB gun. That part alone makes me laugh every single time I see it. But I haven't revisit this film in a long time.
No, it's been a
So
while.
might be great to actually
So
go back and refresh my mind on it,
yeah,
you know. But
yeah.
I remember just
The
Chuck
one,
Norris thing myself.
yeah. The
Go on.
one line I really liked was when they're driving the car onto the golf course, and then they crash into a swordfish, and then I think Steve Carell is like that, and I'm like it's like Chief, are you okay? It's like or like are you thinking the same thing? Are you thinking holy shit? There's a swordfish that almost struck me in the face. Then yes, I mean I remember that line or the sequence where he's flying in the air and the mom and then the kids go like, Mom. It's like, Sean, do you see how annoying that is? I mean, it did what it did. It was entertaining. Had some cool action sequences in it. Didn't think Steve Carell to be an action guy, and there's some cool moments. So that was my number 6. My number 5, I had the movie Doomsday. What had something Rana Mitcha or whatever like that is. It's one of those post-apocalyptic worlds or whatever, and she's tasked by I think Bob Hoskins is in it, so essentially her job is to go into this desolate area to rescue maybe a government agent or something like that and her team, but the people aren't really zombies, but they're just like people that they just left behind. I remember this. I mean, one of the sequences that made me laugh was they're testing out these automatic guns and a bunny is there. So you see the bunny get obliterated by these machine guns. It has some good action in it. I can't think of the actress name. She's been in a lot of stuff. I keep getting her and the girl from Pitch Black. I keep getting those two names mixed up. Again, it was a pretty cool action movie. It had a lot of good action sequences in it, and it's brutal, but it was definitely when Rogue was still a film production company. So that was my number 5. My number 4 is the comedy The Rocker, which starred Rainn Wilson. Yep. This movie I caught on very late, but when I watched it, I'm like, oh my god, some of these big people were in this movie. I mean, you got Josh Gad, Emma Stone, a very young Emma Stone, probably maybe not too much long after Superbad, but you had him, right. You had Will Arnett, Bradley Cooper was in this movie, Fred Armisen was in this movie, mainly Will Arnett, Bradley Cooper, and Fred Armisen. They played the rival Vesuvius, the rival band that Rainn Wilson was a part of, and I was seeing the movie, I'm like, holy crap, Bradley Cooper's in this movie. It's like that. I mean, and you know, Christina Applegate was in this too. So it was just entertaining. It's funny. I mean, you don't typically see Dwight do this type of movie, so it was just interesting. But it's just one of those ones that was just entertaining. I remember it, but just hearing the cast in this movie, it was like, wow, this was a good movie. It's just one of those underrated ones that just flew under the radar, essentially.
It really is underrated if you actually think about it, though, man.
Yeah.
I didn't see this in theaters or anything like that. I was kind of late to the party a little bit as well for myself.
Yeah.
But I remember on one of those streaming sites back when they were really popular, if you remember, you had ch131.com where you can actually watch movies and stream movies for free.
Okay.
And things like that. One of my friends and I watched it. And I remember just laughing my butt off on it.
Yeah, it's funny.
If you watch it now, if you actually think about it, the film's kind of outdated because they even had a MySpace party for the band. So it's like MySpace is no longer even valid anymore.
No.
So I have to laugh at that. And everything was like, well, so much, Tom. We actually got rid of you for Facebook instead. But
yeah,
I thought the a couple of other funny parts though I liked was when the mother on the van and everything on the bus, she goes, "You just need to go ahead and take it easy." He goes, "Okay, Eagles, just calm down now."
Well, I mean, I also liked it because one of the studio music producers was the comedian Demetri Martin, and at that time he was really funny because he had a show on Comedy Central called Important Things with Demetri Martin. He's just funny, and now he's known as Ice Bear from on We Bare Bears. So it's just funny seeing him. That I mean, it's just one of those entertaining movies. It was like that, but it's just funny seeing these young like Josh Gad and Emma Stone. They're pretty big now, but at the time they weren't. But no, holy crap, they were in this movie. And Jane Lynch, of course, was in it. All right, my next one, my number 3, I had Pineapple Express with Seth Rogen and James Franco. This was entertaining. I liked it. It was just funny. It's just, and then this like seeing Ken. I think Ken Jeong was in this. I'm not 100% sure if he was or not, but it was just one of those movies. It was this classic Seth Rogen and James Franco, and it was just entertaining. I like those two guys, and I thought the sequence with his leg through the windshield and the windshield didn't break, and here he's driving the car for it. Again, it's been the opening sequence was hilarious. Where it was like some guy's smoking weed and he's funny, and like we need to make it illegal. And then I think Amber Heard was in this movie. I think she was the high schooler that Seth Rogen was dating. I think she was in this movie, but of course Seth Rogen is the lawyer that comes like you just got served, and all the outfits he was wearing just to serve people. I mean, I remember this came out in 2008. I enjoyed it. I mean, and then some of the action sequences were pretty cool. And then it was interesting, and it was like first time I saw Craig Robinson in a movie was that, and it was just Franco and Rogen when they hit some good stuff, they're really good. But I enjoyed Pineapple Express.
All right.
My number 2, I had The Incredible Hulk. With the Ed Norton. I enjoyed this. It was entertaining. It was a lot better than the 2003 with the whiny Eric Bana. It did what it needed to do. It set up the MCU or helped set up the MCU. So I enjoyed that. And then my number 1 of 2008 is another Jason Statham flick, Death Race. With
I forgot that came out. And
Death Race, yeah. So Sean, here's that one movie I told you on our Facebook chat that was like the Jason Statham movie I was going to mention. It's Death Race. This was awesome. And had a pretty good cast in it. You had a good director did it. I mean, Paul W.S. Anderson, he's known for doing these types of movies. I mean, it did what it did. I mean, it had a pretty good cast. I mean, getting Joan Allen as the vindictive warden or whatever, and then you had the wise old man Ian McShane in it as as one of the pit crew guys, and he's like, the sequence I just love the most is when she's like, she's vindictive, she's gonna blow up his car, and then when they see the tire already taken off, he's like, oh, she ain't gonna be happy about this. Like, nobody messes with my car. I mean, it's just, and then of course Tyrese Gibson, and then the funny gig is that he doesn't have women with him is because they die all the time.
That's funny. I actually to be honest with you, I love this movie. It had enough cheesiness for it. The stunt work was really good. It was believable. Too. Yeah, it's a apocalyptic kind of film though too, as well, because remember the workers are actually getting laid off.
I know.
Everything. Jason Statham gets laid off, gets framed for a crime that he didn't commit, and now he's doing time. And the only way to actually get out of prison is to do those death races. Supposedly, that's how you actually get off. But it's just a repetitive program where it's like you're never going to get out. If you turn out to be one of their top stars whenever it comes down to racing, you're not going to get out of that prison. But I really like this movie. I really liked it a lot. Matter of fact, I actually own this on DVD. Matter of fact, so
I did too. I saw this. I saw this before, because I knew this came out. I didn't know Jason Statham was in it, and then I watched him like, oh wow, Statham's in it, cool. So that kind of and then him being like just knowing him as the transporter, him being behind any car. I just know he's gonna do some cool stunts because I hope that was him that did the stunts for the transporter, because him driving that car is just phenomenal. And then the funny thing is I watched some of the prequels before that led up. I think one of them actually led into this one a little bit. Like the new warden is taken over and there's an image of Joan Allen's character from this one. I'm like, oh, that's how they set it up. So I mean, again, it did what it did. It was entertaining. It had Jason Statham in it. Like I said, it had to be my number one. It was just awesome.
Okay. All right. So now we're go on.
Now we can get into the worst.
Okay, so now we're getting into our disappointing movie list. So I'm gonna go first with my number 10, and that's gonna be Max Payne. I just didn't care for this movie. I was excited for it whenever they said Mark Wahlberg was gonna be in this movie. The visual effects actually looked good. It was going to be different from the actual Max Payne video game, which I didn't mind, but I thought they might actually still use aspects from the Max Payne video game.
Yeah.
But it was more of the line of using a narcotic drug and everything, using it in that type. And his wife does wind up dying, but they didn't use that as the story arc. They used it as like a side piece and just him investigating this whole entire deal where he's actually investigating this narcotic drug, and that's it. There's nothing to the video game arc where he's seeking revenge on the people that were responsible for his wife's death, and that's something that I was totally let down on. And
I mean, when I saw when I saw the trailer, I was hyped for this movie. It looked awesome because I remember playing the video games, and I love the video games, and that's what I really think they need to do, like, to bring those games back for the next gen, is what Rocksteady or whatever, bring these games back, because I'm tired of playing them on, like, I just bought them on Steam for like a bunch of, like, for like not much money, but it's just, I want these games back in this current gen because I think they do a great job with the enhanced graphics, like redo the graphics, because that would look like insane. But again, I was hyped for the movie. Well, again, when I first saw it, I was disappointed because it wasn't what I was expecting. But the more I'm like, I actually own it. The more I watch it, I'm like, okay, it's got redeemable qualities. It's Mark Wahlberg is great. Again, some aspects I didn't care for. I didn't care about the whole Valkyrie thing, about seeing these winged things, and like how they killed Alex was kind of a downer. But some of the action sequences was pretty cool. I mean, I thought Mila Kunis was pretty badass as Mona Sachs, and I was hoping at the end of the movie they teased that they were gunning for the chick, and I think it would have been set up for the second movie, but that never happened. But some of the actions was good. Like I said, the slow motion sequence of him jumping backwards with the shotgun, that was pretty cool. We got good aspects. I mean, I had to put it as an honorable mention. It wasn't going to be my top, but I mean, I enjoyed it. I liked I liked Mila Kunis and I liked Mark Wahlberg, but could have been better, absolutely. But definitely, I enjoyed it.
And also, too, this was like our introduction to the Judge gun as well. Like when the judges were first coming out, because I remember one of my friends and I stopped in the film, was like, wait, what was that? What kind of gun is that? And just trying to zoom in on the gun and everything. And I thought that was actually pretty cool with the judge. And then another thing too is, like you said, when the woman is actually escaping, that could have set up for the second one, because remember in the video game it was the same way. It was done in that same context.
Yeah.
So they could have actually easily done that.
Yeah. Or the sequence where him in the office in slow motion running in slow motion shooting while the SWAT guys are. I thought that sequence was pretty sweet, and then the way he jumped and shot the door just to roll out. I mean, like, I thought that was, like I said, when they did the action, when it wasn't all frantic, it was some pretty good stuff. I think it's just the story is what kind of fell flat a little bit, because I think Mark Wahlberg was perfect for Max Payne. I just think they didn't do it justice, and that's what I think they need. They either need to do another movie as well as reboot the games, in the sense that keep the same story but just enhance the graphics.
Right, I can see that. All right, so what do you have for your number 10?
All right, my number 10, I had the movie Street Kings with Keanu Reeves, Hugh Laurie, I think, was in it. I think Forrest Whitaker was in it. I'm not 100% sure. Chris Evans was in it. Again, when I saw this movie, I was like, wasn't what I expected. It was a lot of corruption, and then I actually just wanted to see Keanu the only reason I watched it was for Keanu Reeves, to be honest. I mean, it's just seeing him as a cop, seeing him like is like I said, I wanted to see him do justice, and it is. I think the overall execution is like, again, I don't remember this movie. I just remembered Keanu was in it, and I just remember I didn't like it. That's why but I thought it was disappointing.
Right. And I forgot that movie came out in 2008. I was sold on the whole aspect of the corruption with the police department. I was sold on the whole this was going to be a gangster movie as well with Keanu Reeves. But the delivery and the execution behind the plot was a major miss. Even whenever they actually towards the end of it, whenever you actually discover all the drug money being buried in the wall, and they're tearing that wall apart, that didn't really wow me. I really felt let down with it, especially with the action sequences weren't as good as I was expecting.
No, I was just killing off Chris Evans the way they did. I mean, I didn't expect them to kill off Chris Evans that way, and I didn't think he was going to die in it, but the way he did, spoiler alert, everybody. But I think the one line I do like was I think they try to stop a perp named Quicks, and he slipped into barbed wire. And he goes, "What's your name, Quicks?" Well, obviously you weren't quick enough.
Right. So they did try to use a little bit of 90s cheesy dialogue in this film as well. But the one-liners.
Again, I was expecting more because I'm a huge. I mean, there's very few movies with Keanu that I've been disappointed in. I think this one, it wasn't on him. I think it was just mere everything else.
I agree. I think it was just the course direction, the script, the writing was the main problem with it. But other than that, though, it wasn't a good movie at all. I was let down with it as well. Is there anything else you want to touch with Street Kings or?
No, again, I don't remember it. I just remember who was in it and why I didn't like it.
Okay, so my number 9 is going to be Don't Mess with the Zohan, which is an Adam Sandler movie produced by Happy Madison. And I had high hopes that this movie was going to be really good and everything. I walked up because here's the thing. I remember going into the movie theaters expecting to laugh. And then my expectations as this movie's being played out and the over-the-top comedy of it all and everything was not something I was expecting in it at all. Because it doesn't really show you the over-the-top stuff until you get into the theater. And what I mean by the over-the-top stuff, I'm talking about like when, for example, Adam Sandler juggling and all of a sudden catches a fish with his ass. Or he's actually going through windows and doing different various of things and stuff like that. That was just too over the top. I also didn't care for this as much. Even the cameos felt forced with Rob Schneider as well. And whenever you have a Rob Schneider cameo, it's usually funny, but it's not. It's definitely not one of those films that I found hilarious at all. Then, of course, if you don't know what Don't Mess with the Zohan is, he doesn't want to be an assassin anymore or anything like that. No. He wants to be a hairdresser. He wants to cut hair because that's actually his passion. And then, of course, he winds up banging old ladies and stuff like that in the
mom.
Yeah, he bangs this one dude's mom, and then he winds up banging these old ladies in the beauty salon and stuff like that. This movie, what the hell? Right, it's definitely not that great. And then also too, he keeps making it's the same repetitive jokes over and over again, especially when it has to do with his pubic hair, because his pubic hair is actually this movie is not good. I just didn't care for it.
No. I saw this in the theaters when it came out. When I saw it in theaters, I enjoyed it at the time because I thought it was. I didn't see this before. It was something I wanted to check out. I thought the opening action sequence was actually pretty cool. I'm like, oh, okay. And then the rest of the movie and like I said, the first time I watched it, I enjoyed it. But then when my sister kept watching it over and over and over again, I'm like, God, this movie sucks. I was like, this is like one-time viewing is all you really need for this. Because then it gets this really annoying and repetitive. I mean, I've seen better Adam Sandler movies where I can watch over again and it doesn't get old. This one got old. Like after the first viewing, it got old. And it's just like, and then the stuff a lot of it just didn't make sense. And it was just like that. And then it's just, like I said, when it came out in 2008, I enjoyed it. Now, no. Like it's not on my worst list, but it might have been.
Okay. So, what do you have for your number 9?
All right, my number 9, I got Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I got this one on there.
Let's see. I'm actually gonna let you take that one because I thought I put that one on there, but there was just some other movies that I was actually disappointed in. So I'm gonna let you go on ahead.
All right. Like I said, my mom is a huge Indiana Jones fan, and we were like, it was like a Sunday after church or whatever. Like, let's go to the movies. So we decided to go see Crystal Skull, and this is the first Indiana Jones movie I watched at the time when this came out, and this is the first one I saw in theaters. Again, at the time I enjoyed it. I thought it was that, but then again, when you look back on it, the whole alien thing was kind of weird. Like, and then the Shia LaBeouf character, how they kind of try to have him set up, and at the time Shia was he was hitting his stardom, and then now everything's falling apart. I don't know. I think I was like I said, this wasn't worst. It was just disappointing because I was expecting a lot more from it. I'm really excited for the Bethesda video game for Indiana Jones, which I think is going to be awesome. Because it's the first time you actually have a big video game by a big production company or gaming company. So that one's something to look. And it's supposed to be open world. Then again, like I said, I mean, I'm interested how they're going to finish this because they're already confirming that they're going to be doing another one with Harrison Ford. But I'm interested how they're going to finish it again because this one is one of those ones that's got a chance to be bad because they waited too long. I was just disappointed, yeah.
Yeah, with the whole entire alien aspect and everything else, they were trying something different because don't forget, we were dealing with Nazis in the last couple of films and everything. So it was like, okay, what do we go from here? How do we make this thing fresh? What do we do? And then they're like, you know what? I felt like that guy from the History Channel goes, aliens.
Aliens, man.
Yeah. So I was thinking, and then also too, Shia was at the stardom and everything, and they wanted him to be the one who takes the reins, which actually made sense because back then Shia was actually starting out. He was actually on top of everything. He's actually starting to make a comeback now and stuff like that with his career. So I'm actually proud of him for that. But during that time and everything, I wouldn't have minded seeing a young Indiana Jones like Shia LaBeouf taking those reins. Mm-hmm. But that was only if the success of the movie was really good. This movie is just horrible. Horribly well directed, horribly well done. The dialogue was really bad. It was even the runtime was too long for me.
Yeah, and then the grandfather or something like that get involved, and I was like, I don't know what they're doing with that. And then the former love interest from the first movie is back in this one, which I think that was kind of cool. Being that later on, like when I was in college, I watched Raiders of the Lost Ark, and that was. Like, at the time, that was PG. To see how violent that was for a PG movie was actually pretty cool. But then again, the overall execution of this, I mean, some of the action sequences was cool, but the overall direction, the plot, didn't. And then Cate Blanchett is with a weird accent. It just didn't really add up. It's not really going to add up to this day.
All right. So with that being said, I just want to go on ahead and tell you guys something. Today's episode is actually brought to you by the NBA Store. And if I actually had to choose one horrible movie that would actually be for the NBA Store and what character it would be Zohan. And the jersey I would actually choose from is the New York Knicks. And just because of the fact that they haven't won a single game in a long-ass time is one of those reasons why I would actually pick that. Now, here's the thing, guys. Okay, so a new year brings the new. Well, here's the thing. Then a new year brings the start of a new NBA season. Suit up with the latest gear to show your support for your team. We may be blindsided from going to the arena, but that doesn't mean you can't watch basketball from your couch and style. We are teaming up with the NBA and Pago to bring our listeners up to 75% on select items. Yes, you heard that right. Go to podgo.co/NBA for up to 75% off on select items from the NBA Store. The NBA Store is where amazing things happen. All right, so now we're going back to my list. For me, my number 8 is actually going to be is actually One Missed Call.
Oh, okay, I've heard of it, and I've seen trailers
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah, I went to the movie theaters to see this movie. As a matter of fact, a couple of my friends and I were bored, and we decided to go to this little cheap movie theater and everything. And we went on ahead and saw One Missed Call. And if you guys don't know what missed call is, basically, if you miss their call, you wind up dying the next day. So it was like one of those repetitiveness horror movies that you would actually get from like The Ring and things like that, because they were always trying to copy what The Ring did during that time in the early 2000s, and nothing could actually touch The Ring at that time. And to me, the acting was really bad. It was really cliche. It was paint by the numbers kind of cheap scares that we got that you would actually get in the early 2000s to make you think that it's scary when it's actually not scary. This movie wasn't for me at all, but the people that I was with, they loved it. But me, on the other hand, I walked out like a sad clown, wishing that I didn't even pay money to go see this movie. But, you know, I was just as disappointed with that film. So
it seems like it's one of those movies I would hate working at a movie theater. There's cheap PG-13 horror movies because you know people are gonna like that in where they're gonna cause a disruption. I worked a bunch of those. This one was this sounds like it's that. I mean, I think it was a reboot of like an old one in the old like another one of those. Oh, we gotta redo it for this generation, and sometimes it works, other times it doesn't. I mean, I think we're there for the sake of rebooting it, for the sake of rebooting it. But if you're like, if you're that was your goal, I don't think it really worked out. But if your goal was to maybe get a new audience, then yeah, maybe. But then again, like I said, it doesn't work for all the horror movies. Like I said, it works some of the times. Other times, it fails.
Right. Okay. So what do you have on yours for your number 8?
My number 8. Quantum of Solace. Yeah. Okay.
I have that as my number 2, so I'm just going to go on ahead and let you go first, and then after that, I'll go on ahead and talk about that.
It was like, it came out, like, it was over Thanksgiving weekend, and my dad and my sister and I were like, all right, what do you want to see? So it's either down to Transporter 3 or Quantum of Solace. I chose Quantum of Solace, thinking, oh, okay, this is a continuation of Casino Royale. I figured it might be entertaining. Oh man, I was so disappointed with this movie. The runtime, way too short for a Bond movie. This is maybe almost an hour and a half, hour and 40. For me, for a Bond movie to be good, it's got to be 2 hours. For me, I just felt it again for an hour and 40 minutes. It felt rushed. Like it seemed like everything I saw in the trailer was the best part. I mean, Daniel Craig did what he could with this one, and then the odd thing is, nothing really came from this movie. I called it was a filler movie to like the next one because there's nothing from this movie that I can think of that either brought back up in either Skyfall, which was the superior one out of the Daniel Craig so far, or Spectre, and how and then nothing from this movie ended up. Yeah, they kept saying Vesper. But then again, I'm like, Vesper died, and then that one, I figured it was going to be, instead of what we got, I figured it would be more methodical, more like...
Right.
This was, and then the action was kind of cool, but I had more fun playing the video game of Quantum of Solace than I did watching this movie. And I guess everybody keeps saying, if you you got to watch Quantum of Solace immediately after Casino Royale, it might help the experience. But again, I was very disappointed with this movie. It's just, and then the Bond girl wasn't really a Bond girl. And then the one girl he slept with, they kind of did their old Goldfinger like that. But instead of gold, they put oil over her. Like her body was ingested with oil. And it's just, I mean, it felt like a filler movie. And it's like, it shouldn't have been a filler movie. It should have been like a better movie. Overall, it was just, yeah, like I said, I mean, I'm so glad I have the other ones. I mean, unfortunately, I couldn't buy the other Bond movies in 4K separately, so I got this in 4K because I got the collection for $40 for 4K, all of them together. When it's like, I mean, it's fine if I watch Casino Royale, I'll watch Quantum right after, maybe helping the experience, but this one was just, yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah, but me, on the other hand, with Quantum Solace, I was hyped up, especially from seeing, like you with Casino Royale, because I saw Casino Royale in theaters. And I love a good, you know me, I ended up saying this on the last show and everything whenever it came to the movie 21. I love a good movie whenever it's built around a poker table, especially whenever it's James Bond doing it. And coming off from the hype of the very first film, of the success of the very first film for Casino Royale for Daniel Craig, and then him entering in on Quantum of Solace, you're expecting the same kind of formula. You're expecting this movie to be good. You're expecting a 2-hour runtime. You're expecting the Bond girls to actually show up and do their thing. And instead, it was just a very drawn-out movie that didn't go anywhere. As far as them not mentioning anything else, I think they wanted to ignore all the problems that they had with Quantum of Solace and concentrated on stuff that wasn't continuity within that film. And there's a saying, continuity, schmontinuity. So you can ignore everything that happened in that last film and then focus on the other two films that you actually have in hand. This movie is definitely not one of those films that I really would actually put in my pantheon of Bond films. That's for sure.
And it's just like, it seems like the last two Bonds, like Pierce Brosnan had a bad movie, like, but he didn't do it Tomorrow Never Dies had its moments, but I could see where it's starting to go bad and cheesy. Then you had The World Was Not Enough, which was just like Christmas Comes Early, and it's just like this, and there's innuendos, and it's just felt forced, and like that's when it started to go bad. And I was worried with what Daniel Craig did, because I was worried that it was going to start going that route. But then Skyfall hit, and Skyfall was like Oscar worthy compared to this.
Right.
I mean, Skyfall was just amazing.
Right, and I think, to be honest with you, I was on a different spectrum whenever you were talking about, you were thinking that it might go down the Pierce Brosnan rabbit hole of it being cheesy. But I was like, nah, I don't see Daniel Craig actually going down that barrel.
No.
For the simple fact is because here's the thing. They casted somebody that was actually going to be a total badass for starters.
And he was.
And that was a total different way of actually telling a Bond story. So the tone and text in that last one was like, Then they ended up making it a lot more serious in the other two films. So I kind of figured, okay, this is just a little small hiccup that they had with the second one because they didn't know exactly how they actually wanted to build from that last Casino Royale. So this is just a little hiccup. They're going to be right back to bringing us something more serious. That's just my outlook of what I was thinking when I saw that.
I mean, I was pleasantly surprised about how great. I mean, once I saw the trailer for Skyfall, I was like, okay, this is where we're going. And you got a great director. And then I think the direction from where that one ended up, and heck, a lot of people hated Spectre. I enjoyed Spectre. I thought Spectre was great.
Yeah.
I mean, Spectre is the one movie that has the world's largest Guinness World Record for world's largest explosion in a movie, and that was from Spectre. And like I said, I mean, Spectre it has flaws, but it was damn well entertaining. And like I said, and what's from Spectre, I want to watch that again before No Time to Die comes out, because I think No Time to Die is going to be I think it's going to be a great movie. I think it's going to, the only outlier of this whole Daniel Craig will be Quantum of Solace, and I think that one's going to be true, because I think from the way that it's been directing, something's going to happen, and it's going to be big, and it's like, I mean, why go out with a bang? And but Quantum of Solace was just terrible.
I agree with you, but if we ever go in ahead and talk about Spectre, I'm actually going to talk about that later. I'm going to hold off on that one.
That came out in 2015, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 2015.
Yeah.
All right, so my next one is actually going to be my number 7, which is Cloverfield. I have that as my disappointing list because of the fact, number one, I'm not into found footage type movies, but what made me interested in seeing this film from the get-go was now here's the thing. The PA on this thing, the department did a very good job of promoting this film, because we had no idea what this movie was even about or anything like that. We were all curious about what attacked the Statue of Liberty, what threw the head of the Statue of Liberty into that whole entire street and everything. And that's what made us go out and see this film, because we were kind of curious about what we were going to be seeing. Then once we actually went into the theaters and everything, it was found footage. The scenes were too dark. You didn't really get to see the monsters like we wanted to. Then finally we get to see some bad CGI of what the monster looked like during the daytime, and then it cuts off with the cuts to black. This movie was not the greatest film whenever you look at the very first Cloverfield movie or anything like that. And that's not just me just saying the fact that it's found footage. It's because of the whole entire thing. Some of the scenes were way too dark. I couldn't really see anything. Then of course you also have the bad CGI, but I have to admit the marketing for it was really good. So that's one of the positives I can actually say. There are some good trailers that I've seen to bad movies, and some bad trailers I've seen for good movies. So it varies on different ways that you actually view a trailer. So, what did you think of Cloverfield?
I didn't see it. It seemed like one of those horror movies, like, or something that just didn't interest me, and I was like, okay. I knew of it. It just didn't interest me.
Okay, fair enough. So what's your number 7?
All right. I think this movie came out in 2008. At least according to this calendar, read I had The Hurt Locker as my number 7.
Okay.
I didn't like it. I mean, like I said, this is like, again, I'm not a huge Kathryn Bigelow fan. I've seen a lot of her stuff she's done, and she just doesn't really impress me. Like, I didn't like Point Break, but I liked the chemistry between Swayze and Keanu Reeves. I liked that aspect for it, and that was the only redeemable quality. The action was okay, but it just overall, I just didn't like it. I didn't like that. And then The Hurt Locker, it's just Anthony Mackie, and then I was like, I don't know, I don't remember this movie as much. I just know there's a lot of hype for it, and it was coming out around Oscar time. It was going up against James Cameron's Avatar, who was at Kathryn Bigelow's ex. And I was watching it, I just wasn't really impressed, honestly. I mean, it's like, and then again, I wasn't really into the Oscar movies until like years later, and I watched this like years later, and it's just, from what I saw, I wasn't really impressed. And it's like, I've seen, if I want to watch a war movie, in a sense, like, this was a different type of war movie, but if I want to watch, I'd watch either Saving Private Ryan or another one, but it just, I don't know, this one just fell flat for me. And again, I'm not a huge Kathryn Bigelow fan.
You see, with The Hurt Locker, I thought the movie was decent, but not enough to say that was a letdown or whatever. Because it has some entertainment qualities, of course. You know, it has Jeremy Renner in this film, that we won't get to see him play Hawkeye until years later. But you know, I thought it was an interesting comedy, because kind of that feel to it, because it does have some comedy aspects to it as well. But it's one of those movies I'm gonna have to revisit again because I haven't seen it in a while, so I don't really have the scenes really fresh in my mind on what I've seen.
I don't either. I just remember it came out in 2008 and I didn't like it. That's how I had this on my list.
Okay. So the next one I have, which is my number 6, would be The Love Guru. This is also a film that Mike Myers actually made. Matter of fact, he retired from filming after this. And a matter of fact, he made an appearance in Inglourious Basterds in 2010. Whenever that movie came out,
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, but you know, with The Love Guru, right?
Yeah.
But with the Love Guru, though, he retired for a while. He didn't even want to do any movies after that because his movie bombed at the box office. And you know, I love when he plays other characters and things like that. They even had the guy who played Mini-Me in this movie as well. This movie just doesn't work out as well. Some of the jokes are hit and miss as well, and everything too. I just remember renting this on DVD and just feeling sorry for myself that I even touched this film. But I'm glad that I didn't go out and see this movie, and then I went on ahead and saw something else instead. So it's a win-win situation, I guess, if you would say. But The Love Guru is definitely not a film that I would actually recommend to anybody.
I'm the opposite. I saw this in the theaters. I saw this with my mom and my sister and brother. This movie just, again, I have that weird sense of humor. I thought this was hysterical. Like, I loved Justin Timberlake's The Goalie, because this was the first movie I saw with Justin Timberlake. Like, holy crap. Justin Timberlake's funny, because I always saw him as, oh, he's the pretty boy dancer, singer. When I saw him as this, I'm like, oh, okay, he's funny. Like, I mean, his name is Jacques Lecoq Grande. I mean, and then it's like, all right, and then everybody's so fascinated with his junk, and he's like, this interview's over, and he takes off his towel, and you see the anchor is like, damn. Again, I thought this was hysterical. I mean, like the one scene there in the car with the I forgot his name, but anyway, they're in the car and you hear Bohemian Rhapsody play, and he's like, "Oh no, gotta change it." I mean, that. I mean, the other moment I loved was in the bar sequence was Daniel Tasha's only appearance. He was the guy the guy with the hat that was starting the fight, and he goes, was like, and he's like, and then he goes, "Oh, I had a hat like that once. Then my mom got a job." And then his line is like, "Maybe I need to shove these love beats someplace special." I mean, I just remember Daniel Tosh was in this, was funny. I love this movie. I enjoyed it. I mean, it's like it's got to be an honorable mention. And then it's just some of the funny, like the funny like forced humor. It was like, oh, do you want to hey, did someone eat the Quebec pizza? You know, it's the Pop-Tart with the ketchup, you know, like in the porno. Like, I mean, I just thought it was hysterical. I mean, I enjoyed it. It's one of those ones that's on, I'll watch. And and then the Daniel Tosh appearance, and it's just like some of the forced lines. It's like I saw a joke. I was in the bathroom of this gas station, and he goes, "The joke is in your hand," and then when he gets the joke, and it's just I don't know, this was just the type of movie I enjoyed, and it's just that's why I had it as an honorable mention. But this Timberlake's character, like Timberlake's Jacques Lecoq Grande, him being a big Celine Dion fascination, it's just. I loved it. I enjoyed it. Is it in my top movies of all time of the best 2008? No. Honorable mention. I figured it was fine for it. And then John Oliver is in it as his power hungry attorney or lawyer, or and then him showing off all the him doing the acronyms was pretty funny. And of course the Law and Order night with Mariska Hargitay, and that's the theme that they say, or like his saying Mariska Hargitay, and it's the same actress that plays in Law and Order. Again, I enjoyed this movie.
Okay. So what do you have for your number 6?
My number 6, The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. Oh, okay. Yeah, this movie was garbage. This, like, I mean, you just knew this movie had bad news written all over it when the same actress, Rachel Weisz, did not return as Evie for this movie. Like, I think she either, like, I don't know the full details, but she must have read the script and like, wow, this is bad. And then they completely take Evie out of the equation, and they put Maria Bello in as some other chick. And it's like, I don't even know if she was Evie or not. I mean, it was pretty sad that they put Jet Li in this, because I love Jet Li. He's a great actor, or a great martial arts guy. And to have him as the bad guy in it, I mean, he played a way better bad guy in Lethal Weapon 4 than he did in this one. It just felt forced. It felt unnecessary. It didn't really make sense. I don't know why they decided to continue moving on. I thought they ended it perfectly at the end of the Mummy Returns, which is a fantastic movie. Then this happened, and it kind of ruined the Mummies. I mean, because you see what happened with the Tom Cruise one. They tried to reboot The Mummy, and look what happened. Yeah. Another failure. Again, and you see, I don't know why.
You see, this movie would have actually been on my list, but there was something else in the way of it making my list. Because this movie is, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't see this movie in theaters. My brother-in-law actually owns this movie. So I saw this at his house and everything. And, okay, there's a part on where Brendan Fraser's actually driving through the city. The steering wheel is not turning. I was like, and I'm like, this is just horrible. This does not feel realistic to me. The acting is really bad. Then on top of that, Edie's not, the original character, like you mentioned, is not in there. They gave her, matter of fact, they actually changed her character into another character and stuff like that. No mention of what happened to her at all. Just hoping that we wouldn't even notice, basically what they were hoping for. And to ignore the continuity within the first 2 films and then play off of that. And then, of course, Jet Li, like you mentioned, was a total missed opportunity as well because he could have actually been a great mummy. Matter of fact, I was actually thinking he was going to probably shapeshift into like a dragon or something like that because I was actually looking forward to maybe something mystical, something a little bit different that we haven't seen because I like the fact that they were going outside the realm and they were going into the Chinese, Japanese culture and going down that route. And I was like, okay, this could be actually interesting. This could actually work. And then it just was a pile of cow dung, basically.
Yeah.
And it just sucked.
Yeah. Like, if Rachel Weisz had been in this and they kept Evie, maybe could have been, like I might have enjoyed it more. But the actress that they replaced her with and they got rid of the whole Evie name, she's just annoying. She didn't do anything. She didn't add to the character. I mean, Rachel Weisz, yeah, she had her damsel in distress in the first movie, but she was a total badass in The Mummy Returns. When you get to learn more of her about like the back history, I mean, she was a badass in the second one, and then they completely get rid of that character and to have more of a wuss. Like, I mean, come on. I mean, there's that, and then of course they were in China, so they had to get they had to get Michelle Yeoh. She's so typecast as the guide or somebody or whatever they had to get for this, but it was bad. I didn't see this in theaters. I watched it on DVD. Yeah, I've not watched this movie since. This was just utter garbage.
Yeah, I haven't watched it since I've been over to my brother-in-law's house watching it on Blu-ray. So that's since
I have the first two 4K, and that's the only ones I need.
Same. As a matter of fact, I have the second one on VHS and the first one on VHS, and that's it. I don't even have it on DVD. So mine is actually going to be another Mark Wahlberg movie that came out. It's an M. Night Shyamalan movie that came out in 2008, and the movie is called The Happening. And that's nothing fucking happened. Nothing fucking happened in that fucking movie.
No.
And the dialogue.
It's my number 5.
Okay.
I had that. Yeah.
Dude, I have to talk about this dialogue though. Like with Mark Wahlberg and his wife. He goes, I was thinking about dating this pharmacist, but I wasn't actually gonna date the pharmacist. And I'm like, okay, where did that come from? And then it was the other scene where he's like, when this little old lady is and everything is in her house, and then she starts backing away from the door, and he goes back in, ma'am, hello. It was really bad. And then John Leguizamo is in this movie too, which is one of my other favorite actors. This movie is just poorly well done, poorly executed. M. Night Shyamalan's worst movie since Lady in the Water. and everything. This movie,
he's got another one that I have on my list for one of his worst movies. I can get into that when we go to discuss 2010. I had this movie as my number 5. I had this movie as my number 5 worst movie, so one ahead of yours. Again, this was garbage. And that plot twist, it's in The Wind. The Wind is the one that's killing everybody. I'm like, what the hell? What's the bad with your bad plot twist? Jeez. Did you smoke something? Not with this. Oh, let's go to the dictionary. Let me see if I can find a plot twist here. Wind. Perfect. Let's put this in here. Like,
let's put an air elemental into this movie.
No, you didn't think it. You're wasting Mark Wahlberg's career by doing that, by having him part of this movie. What did you pay him? What did you have on him to force him to do this movie? I mean, this is bad. I'm surprised you didn't say, I say hi to your mother for me in this one. I mean, it's just, this movie was garbage. It was terrible.
It really is. Dude, another thing too that I want to mention is the fact that, you know how you were talking about The Wind? Now, some people are saying, well, it's about the environment and about how we as people are killing the environment, so the environment is actually now taking control and killing us. I'm like, that is still a stupid ending. It's still a stupid scenario as to what he wanted to do for a plot twist. And I can do so much better with plot twists. We've seen it before. Perfect example is Split. Unbreakable, Split, The Sixth Sense. Those were the 3 best plot twists in a movie. The Village, not so much. But
no, the Unbreakable plot twist, I didn't see that coming. I'm like, whoa, that was cool because I watched Split before I watched Unbreakable, but then I knew the kind of like the post credit scene from Split when I read what happened in Split because it didn't look like something I wanted to watch. But I watched Split, I enjoyed it. It was not my usual movie I watched, but I enjoyed it. And then I had so much hype going into Glass, and then I got then Glass happened, and then I was really disappointed. I was really angry of how he did that, and he came out and defended the way he described that ending for Glass. And I think
he still defends it to this day.
He still defends it, dude. You need to shut up. That was a horrible ending.
Yeah, he still defends it.
No.
Matter of fact, there's actually in one of the news articles recently that was released last week or 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. But I haven't seen the movie in its entirety yet to actually say it was a good ending or not. So
no,
I need to actually check it out.
I mean, I thought the build up to it was great, and then when the movie started continuing to progress, I didn't like it. It started out great, and then this fell flat for me. But then again, that's just me, and I'm not going to go into any further. But yeah, The Happening is garbage. And Shyamalan just needs that's another one of usually they get 3 strikes and you're out. I think he's got more than 3 strikes, and he should have been out a long time ago.
Remember the Jaden Smith movie?
After Earth?
Yeah, that was an M. Night Shyamalan film.
I know.
It was so bad that they actually have to hide it. It got so bad for him that they actually had to hide his name from the movies, so that way people would actually go out and see the movie, because they knew if there was an M. Night Shyamalan movie, chances is they may not go see it because they've already been fooled enough times. If it wasn't for his most recent hit before Split, which was a horror movie, which was also about
the grandmother. I think is the I forgot the name, but I know you're talking about the kids are staying with the grandparents. And the grandparents are all creepy or whatever. That they're like, here, get in the oven.
Yeah, that was. If it wasn't for that small comeback, he would still be on that bottom of the totem pole list.
Yeah.
So, okay. So
and
what do you have?
Right. My number 5 again. We were just talking about it. My number 5 was The Happening. I just had that one above yours. So you can go ahead and list your number 5.
Okay. Well, that was my number 5. So my number 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my number 4 would be Speed Racer.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen it. I think I'm gonna watch it at some point. Just because I feel like watching it.
Man, this movie is so awful. But here's the thing: the main character. What made me sold me to go see this movie. Number 1, the Wachowski brothers at the time, which is now the Wachowski sisters, I believe. But they were the ones who sold me to go see this movie because of the hype with the Matrix movies and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, a movie that's based off of a cartoon franchise, and it's got the Wachowskis doing their thing, and then also 2, you also have the main actor from Alpha Dog that was in this movie too. Hirsch. Yeah,
I think it was Emil Hirsch.
Yeah, that's him. And that was the 2 things that was working for me to go out and see this movie and support it. And the movie just sucks. The CGI and everything was really bad. The dialogue was really bad. You could definitely tell the Wachowskis spent more money into the budget with special effects rather than expanding out their characters. Don't get me wrong. I understand Speed Racer isn't supposed to be serious, but at least spend some time with those characters to where we can actually have the characters that we love on the smaller screen in a cartoon format and put that into the adaptation of a big screen format. This movie is not the best movie at all whenever you look at animated to movie adaptations. The Scooby-Doo movie with Freddie Prinze Jr. is a lot better than this movie.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I saw that in theaters. That was an entertaining movie. I didn't see this. It's on I think it's still on my HBO Max queue to watch. I mean, I got so much stuff above it. I mean, I'll get to it eventually. But it's just, again, I'm bored. I'm just trying to find stuff to watch.
I gotcha. So, what do you have for your number 4?
My number 4, Jumper. This is garbage. I think it was Hayden Christensen was in this.
Yep. Samuel Jackson.
Yeah, again, I don't remember it. I just remember it was garbage. Like it said, it's just I think, and then have his own family member being a person that's going after him. It was just again, Hayden Christensen needs to stop acting. He's terrible. Like, like I would rather watch like if Tommy Wiseau had played Hayden Christensen in this movie, I would have enjoyed it. Like he can do like, or heck, have Tommy Wiseau play Anakin Skywalker and him talk about sand, because that would be more entertaining than hearing Hayden Christensen speak. He's terrible. Like, I mean, I had to watch another one from one of my film classes. This movie called Shattered Glass. When it was based off like he was a reporter for like I think some sort of new paper, and all the stories he was coming up were fake stories. Right. And he was a whiny little complainer the whole movie, him crying. And I'm like, geez, is this all you got to offer the world? Just stop acting and just do something else, because it's just you're annoying. I mean, you ruined Star Wars. I mean, you're ruining movies. Just stop. Again, I don't remember much what the storyline of Jumper was. I just remember 2008. Oh yeah, the movie stopped.
Well, Joss Whedon was the director for this movie and the writer for this movie.
Okay. That explains everything.
Then, also too, Samuel L. Jackson was in this movie. He was poorly used and everything. He was one-dimensional villain in this film, and it was also a PG-13 movie, which is different from what Samuel L. Jackson normally does, because you're expecting some MF bombs, some F bombs, and stuff like that too. But you know, it was about this kid who can actually jump from. All he has to do is just look at a picture and think about where he wants to go to, and he can jump from state to state or country to country. And Samuel L. Jackson played a guy who was actually capturing other jumpers and everything. And then supposedly his mother was also the one who actually backstabs Hayden Christensen's character, like Charlie mentioned. But, you know, I can actually ignore some things and actually enjoy it for what it is. I can actually ignore the whininess of Hayden Christensen and actually enjoy something from the movie. Because I like the concept of the fact that, you know, you can just look at something and you can actually be there rather than having to travel. So I actually love that aspect. I like the aspect of someone capturing these jumpers and stuff like that. It's all, to me, is everything's about execution and how it's actually presented, because it can actually look good on a page, but it's about how it's being projected out and how it's actually being received as. And to me, that was the most important thing, was the delivery, and the delivery didn't give me anything.
No, I saw this years ago. I don't remember any of it all. I just know remember Hayden Christensen, and I hated it. It was just terrible. Like, again,
I got you.
I don't remember anything. And am I going to watch this again? Absolutely not.
Okay. Okay. So my number 3, it's gonna be a Hugh Jackman movie. It's Australia.
Oh, okay.
Did you ever see this movie?
I have not. I've heard of it. I've not seen it.
It's a 2.5-hour movie. I fell asleep watching it because of how boring it was.
It looked boring.
Like, it was really boring, and it was really drawn out for it to be 2 hours long. I can't even tell you the plot of it. It's the whole point of the fact that I fell asleep during a Hugh Jackman movie, and I like Hugh Jackman movies, even if it's Swordfish, which I find enjoyable. I managed to find something I liked about it.
That movie is so badass.
It was. You know, but even then, I can find something enjoyable about that film, even if you didn't like that film. With this, I found nothing in that movie that I liked. Because you know me, I'm all about aspects to a movie that I enjoy and stuff like that too, but there was nothing about Australia that I liked. So that's my number 3.
Swordfish was the first R-rated movie I actually watched with my parents. They let me watch it, so and I watched this movie, and in the one sequence, this how nonchalant, like John Sproul's driving the car, and he's like, "Hold on, we got a tail," and he just comes out with the dual pistols in the car. Dude, that movie was just everything about that movie was just awesome.
It was over the top. It was fun. It was a fun blockbuster. But what I want you to do is, you remember Alan Stewart on The Hangover with the tree, with the palm tree and everything.
From The Hangover. I don't remember that one.
Okay, well, if you look at the shirt that Hugh Jackman is wearing, it's basically the same shirt that that Alan is wearing from The Hangover.
Oh, okay.
So,
I guess I smell The Hangover, but no, Swordfish is just great. I mean, got a great cast. I mean, the opening monologue by John Travolta. I mean, he plays a good villain, and then that's how I learned about misdirection and how that was a really cool plot twist. And of course, bus flying in the air. I mean, what's not to enjoy about that? And you got Don Cheadle. I mean, you got War Machine in this. I mean, it's just fantastic movie. There was nothing wrong with it at all. I don't care. This movie, it was great. Okay.
It was fantastic, dude. Like, I want to also mention this. I want to mention this one other thing with Swordfish. I love the opening scene where he's actually talking about rated R movies. You can't say more than one F-bomb before it becomes rated R. Then, of course, you don't realize this whole entire scene is being taken place in a Starbucks.
Yeah. And it's like and it's right before they're about to it's like kind of like a brief break, like in this is the opening brief break, and then they're back going back normal, robbing the bank or whatever they're doing. This is how they are able to walk just nonchalant from the Starbucks to have a little conversation with Don Cheadle, who I'm surprised didn't arrest both of them. When you go to see the sequence of where it takes place. Again, I thought that how they filmed it. Again, the whole filming, like how everybody about that movie is just 2001. It was great. It was just a fantastic movie. Okay, now I got to go back to the sucking movies.
Okay, so
all right, my number 3, The Spirit. This was bad. Like. The animation style was intrigued on because it reminded me of Sin City, which I liked. Sin City, I thought that was cool. So the comic, the picture image of it out, just the overall execution of everything about this movie was bad. Like, I mean, it was just like, I mean, Scarlett Johansson was in it, and she did what she could, but she wasn't the main star. Somebody else was, and it was bad. I don't remember it. I watched it years ago. I just remember I saw it came out in 2008. It's like, oh yeah, I remember this movie sucked. So that's what is my number 3. It was nothing redeeming about this. I mean, except for the imagery of it was cool, but the overall execution just fell flat. It should have just become The Shadow and just disappear.
To be honest with you, that's what the first concept I thought of was The Shadow mixed in with the Frank Miller vibe of Sin City. Mm-hmm. You know, that's the first thing. 2 things that came to my mind was The Shadow with Alec Baldwin, and also a combination of Frank Miller. But you know, I'm just gonna think
more comic. I think.
Yeah, it was also a comic as well, graphic novel, I believe. But so I'm actually going to go in full agreement with you on everything you mentioned because of the fact that I've seen it, and only for 15 minutes of the film, I couldn't make it past that and everything. So, you know, I'm just going to say it was a bad movie. But so for now, my number 1, it's because I already did my number 2, which was Quantum of Solace.
Yeah.
So as it goes into my number 1, I've actually done a podcast episode for it, for movies that make me cringe with Tamika.
I know we actually reviewed.
It's my number 2.
It's my number 2. Here we go.
Okay, so we reviewed all 3 of these films. It's a saga. It is the Twilight Saga, and not the Twilight Saga, but Twilight, the very first movie. And this movie
is trash.
To be honest with you, I was expecting it to be good, you know, because I'm thinking it's a vampire movie. I like vampires and stuff like that, right? So, not only that, but the person I was dating, I actually had to sneak in her niece to see a PG-13 movie. I asked the guy, why is this movie, why does she need to have CID? Oh, because of the graphic violent content and stuff like that. I said, it's PG-13. There's no graphic violent content at all. But so we went in and it was stuck around. Was that?
I said there's nothing graphic about this movie. No, there was no action. The fight sequences were garbage. And go ahead. I'll add more to it in a minute.
Okay. So like Charlie was mentioning, the fight scenes were garbage. The CGI was over the top. It just sucked with the CGI. There's not, and even with vampires are supposed to show their teeth and everything, there's no long teeth or anything like that whenever you look at it and stuff like that. And then the cringy dialogue as well. I know what you are. Say it. You're a vampire. Huh? And then
they tweak, they sparkle. What the
right.
hell?
Also, too, I have to say, the only redeemable thing that I can say that I liked was the baseball scene and that supernova black hole song that they had. Okay. That while they were playing. And that was the only thing I liked about it. And then, of course, I didn't notice this until recently. But when I'm over there, when I'm watching it on TV and everything, the guy has a plastic wolf's head on his head. And it's supposed to symbolize that they killed a wolf, and it's supposed to be real fur. If you actually look at it from a high definition standpoint, it is plastic as hell. I'm like, you mean to tell me with this budget they had, they couldn't get that guy a real wolf's head or something like that to actually make it look realistic, or even CGI it? It was. This movie is just ridiculous. And then also too, I read the book a little bit. I read the very first book, and after that, I sold the rest of the books. But this movie has very bad dialogue in it. As a matter of fact, this is actually where you would actually get your 50 Shades of Grey, because 50 Shades of Grey is based off of basically just fan fiction. Yep.
Yep.
So
hold on. Let me get. I have a pop figure, and I think this character that I'm about to show pop figure would have made this movie so much better.
Okay, so while he does that, I'm just going to go on ahead and go off the top with this. Okay, here we go.
Blade would have made this movie so much better, because I've seen so many memes about this. Like, in the background is like Bella and Edward sitting there together hugging each other, and you see Blade with his sword just smirking like he's about to kill them. I'm like, that would have made this movie so much better. Would have only made the movie 5 minutes, because Blade would have shown up immediately and taken it out, and it's just, this is garbage. This is like, I mean, I watched this. Like, I watched the first 3 of them. I didn't care for anything else because I expected like, oh, I mean, like vampires. I figured, oh, it was a vampire movie, and I figured there'd be some action. No, I mean, you didn't get any action. I mean, geez, you can get like there was more action in Titanic 2 than there is this movie. I mean, I mean,
okay,
like, yeah.
But back to your meme thing though about with Twilight and Blade. There's actually a scene where what's his name? Robert Pattinson's character is actually running through the woods, and Blade is behind him and about to kill him.
Yeah, I have to send that meme to me. Like, I mean, this was just bad, and unfortunately, the movies, they only get worse from here. This was just like awful. Like again, it's not geared towards us. It's geared towards like more like young adults books like that. Like, they were a big fan of this and that, but it just wasn't for me. However, then again, they could have done a lot better. And then they wasted Anna Kendrick in this movie. I mean, she was one of her Bella's friends, or like one of those like new girls that she befriended, and then you don't see her again, and like after maybe like she's in it maybe like until the third movie, and then after that she's just like, oh, we don't need you anymore.
Well, basically, she was in there with the prom and towards the end of it, and it's also her getting the prom dress. Then she was in there for New Moon a little bit. Okay. And she was becoming the adrenaline junkie, and I felt bad for knowing that.
Watch Kick Punch. Yeah, like Kick Punch. We got to watch this movie. I'm like, who comes up with these titles of these that? And then he's like the adrenaline junkie just to get Edward back, and it's just, again, I worked during 2 of these movies, maybe 3. New Moon was horrible to work because that movie was just bad. Like I said, how much money these movies make. And I'm not surprised on it because it's a popular book, but it's not for me, and it's just very cringeworthy. Again, Like I said, I would have like if I can watch the movie, but with Tommy Wiseau doing all the voices, it would have made it so much funny. But then again, this was my number 2 least favorite movie of this year, and unfortunately, there's something worse than this.
All right. So, what
Is there
would you
anything else
say?
you need to add for Twilight, or we covered it all pretty much?
Okay, so you're done with your list too, or is there any
No,
more?
no. Is there anything else you need to add about Twilight before I go to my number 1?
No. Go on ahead. I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done ranting about it.
All right. My number 1. It's called a Repo, the Genetic Opera.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. Okay. Oh my god. I watched this movie out because like I heard about this movie again. I didn't pick up at the time when this came out. I didn't pick up as an opera because I just watched The Repo Man with Jude Law and Forest Whitaker, and that was a great movie. And I figured, oh, okay, cool. I was expecting something similar to what I was watching with this one. Lord knows was I wrong on this one. This was awful. Like, did I know that they'd be singing this whole time in this movie? Again, I at that time this came out, I didn't think opera meant that. I thought it was just they're doing that. It wasn't what I expected. The acting was awful. The singing, again, I hate musicals. And if anybody's been listening to our last podcast, last week I spoiled Dancing in the Dark for everybody, so you're welcome. If like I said, I hate musicals. I watched this movie. I had a cold. I felt horrible. My dad walked out halfway through it, and I chucked through to watch the rest of this movie, see if it got any better. It didn't. I mean, the acting was bad. The singing was bad. I don't know why. The only reason it was R-rated is because it was like they're doing about repo, like, and there's like very bad blood squibs or whatever. This was a travesty. This was terrible. Like, I would avoid this movie at all costs. Like, this is not what I expected. Again, this was bad, and I hate musicals. But like I said, if you want a better Repo movie, watch Repo Men.
Okay, and. One of my friends recently told me to watch that movie. But I didn't get around to watching it yet. But I know what I was expecting because I watched the trailer. So since I already know what I was expecting, I know that it's going to be singing. But I'm going to watch it for myself and see what it's like. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I didn't watch the trailer before I watched this movie. Again, I watched Repo Men and then went into from Repo Men to watch this. And Lord knows was I wrong what I expected. And Paris Hilton's in this movie.
Right. Alrighty. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah. Some other movies I didn't have in my list. I wrote as dishonorable mentions. I had this movie In Bruges, which I think it had that Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell. Again, I thought it'd be a lot of action in it. It isn't. It was boring. Another one I had Righteous Kill. This was the Robert De Niro, Al Pacino cop movie. Again, I expected more because these two guys together for the first time since Heat. I figured it'd be something cool. The trailer is very misleading what this movie actually is about. Okay. And then the other dishonorable mention I had is unfortunately another Keanu Reeves movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Oh yeah, that movie was a snore fest.
Yeah, I watched that not too long ago. It was bad. The kid, Jennifer Connelly's kid, was the annoying. I think it was Jaden Smith. Yeah, I think that was Jaden Smith was in this movie, and it was bad. It was just like I couldn't put it in my worst movie list. I had to come up with a dishonorable mention list. There's a lot of other movies that came out in 2008 I didn't even have on this list. I didn't have Transporter 3 on this list, which was a decent Statham movie. I was a little disappointed in it a little bit because I expected a lot more fight sequences in it, sort of, because Transporter 2 was awesome. But then again, it was still entertaining nonetheless because, I mean, Statham's Statham. But again, there's a lot of other movies that came out in 2008. I think Hancock came out in 2008.
Yep, Hancock did.
Yeah.
But yeah. That's pretty much everything that we have from our list and everything. Yeah. If there's anything that you think that we need to cover or whatever, comment below and everything. We'll try and cover it on our next show. So that way, if you liked Hancock, tell us like you liked Hancock, and we'll talk about Hancock for a few minutes before our segment, or anything like that. Yeah. So if you feel free to go on ahead and do that, just go on ahead, jump on in after the show and do that. With further ado, I'm just going to close us out. And guys, I'm actually going to be having a show on Monday probably, so stay tuned for that. On Tuesday, I actually have Jennifer Brofer actually joining me at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 6 o'clock Pacific Time. And I'm going to be doing a one-on-one interview for her. She's an independent actress, actor, producer, and former veteran vet for the Marines. And so that's who I'm going to have on the show on Tuesday. And then after that, we're just going to have to be a surprise and see what else I have in store for you guys. But anyways, if you guys want to, you guys don't have to. If you want to show some generosity towards us, go on ahead and do so by going to the GoFundMe page below. Another thing too, guys, if you guys want to go on ahead and go into all your entertainment needs and wants, just go to www.movieloversunite.com for all your entertainment needs and wants. We're actually writing up some movie articles. We're writing down some movie reviews and stuff like that in that movie website as well. Another thing too is if you guys want to, go on ahead, follow me on Twitter. How do you do that? Just go on ahead and go to Movie Lovers Unit, or you can go on ahead and follow me at John DeGorio8. Then, of course, we also have a Pinterest page called Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite, and we also have an Instagram page called Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite, and also on Facebook at Movie Lovers TV Lovers Unite. And that's pretty much everywhere that you can actually reach us. And once again, guys, if you guys want 75% off, just go on ahead, go use that promo code that I mentioned. Matter of fact, I'll have this in the into the show notes and everything later on where I actually edit that out. So go on ahead, get yourself some NBA gear. And always, until next time, guys, bye-bye.
See ya.